Purpose is your choice of the happiness that you're going to pursue with your reason. And the first point under that point is that you have to choose to be happy, to care about what becomes of you. But you also have to choose your specific happiness, that is, come up with it. It's not that you just choose happiness, but you choose something for your life to be about that's going to be your happiness. So for example, to go back to the fountainhead, which I've been using as a running example, Howard Rourke's life is Howard Rourke Architect. It's summed up by the slogan on his door, right? That's what he chose. Those words mean something to him. It's not just the words, but it's like a kind of conception of what his life can be like, what his career is. He didn't just choose, I want to be happy now, whatever. He picked a particular thing, which is what life is for him, and he achieves it. What's your thing? You might not have one yet, you're young, but it should be a question. Something that you're thinking about. What am I going to do with my life? What do I want my life to be about? Maybe it won't be one career that's the same one for your whole life, but what is the theme of my life? What do I want my life to add up to? Don't feel bad if you don't have an answer, but don't feel too good either. I mean, don't feel guilty if you don't have an answer, but don't feel like, no one knows, you can't tell what's going to happen, I'll just, smoke a joint and hang out with my friends or whatever. That's wasting your life. Think about how to get where you want to go and how to get there. And if you don't know, think about that you don't know, and think about, well, how do I figure it out? You choose what your happiness is going to consist in by choosing values, by choosing what your goals are. Gina's going to talk a little bit tomorrow about how the psychological mechanics of how one can do this. But in broad outline, what I think you do is you conceive of a life for yourself, and you then try to achieve that life. And it's two steps. It's conceiving of a life for yourself and achieving that life. Like if you were going to design a building, you don't just stare at the pile of bricks and wait for them to assemble themselves, or stare at some other dude's building and try to copy it. You think like, what's my idea for this? Given all the inputs that go into it, given the options that I have, given the materials I have that I can build out of, given the constraints of the site and whatever else is relevant, what idea do I have that I could realize with these things that would be worthwhile, that I would value, that I would like? And then how, once I've come up with that, can I assemble these things step by step, do whatever I need to do to make that thing real? So there's conceiving of something, a goal, and then trying to achieve that, and then achieving that goal. Well, what ethics is a guide to doing that in a very abstract way. There's a lot more you need to know to do it. You need to know a lot about your personal situation and what talents you have, and you might need to know some psychological skills to help you do it, or management skills. But at the most abstract level, ethics is about how to live that kind of a life, how to come up with and then achieve that kind of a life. And one wants to think of ethics, or at least Rand thinks of ethics, and I think she's right. I think we should think of ethics. I think if you really take seriously the fact that you have free will and follow out all the implications of it, you will think of ethics, not as a set of constraints that come from God knows where. Do this, don't do that, kill your kid out of obedience to me, or whatever it is. Not as a set of constraints or demands, but as knowledge of how to create a human life. Because part of paying for it, and part of rationally coming up with something to want, is taking into account all the facts of reality about what kind of creature you are, what kind of needs you have, what will happen to you if you pursue certain courses, what kinds of things are achievable for you in the short run and the long run, what kind of goals will further each other and kind of form a synergy, what kind of goals and projects will form a synergy and which ones will pull apart. What kinds of actions are needed to achieve those kinds of goals, and what actions will frustrate them. And what ethics is a kind of body of knowledge about how human beings do that. What is it about human beings that makes certain kinds of values achievable for them, and other kinds of things that you might talk about but can't really be values because there's no way to act towards them? What makes certain types of activity or ways of functioning necessary components of any human life that's going to achieve any values, because it's part of how we achieve values, and what will necessarily frustrate any human life.